this
front
this
of his
hold on a second. Hold
9-year-old.
on a second. Hold on a second. So this wait a minute, hold on. I need to get a place where we don't have a lot of noise in the background. Stand over here, Pam, please. Okay. Okay. Now, you saying that you just came from an event where someone is just was being buried?
Well, not an event, a funeral.
A
Yes.
funeral. Oh, I'm sorry, a funeral.
We just buried my son's best friend,
Okay.
who was shot by gun violence in front of his 9-year-old son, who was standing in front of the ice cream truck.
Okay.
So gun violence is near and dear to my heart. I feel like I've lost a son from another mother.
Okay, so now let me just try to see if I understand this here.
Okay.
You're not just out here because it's a nice summer night and you want to be in front of the cameras. You're out here because hopefully that your presence can make a difference in terms of addressing this insensitive activity that's been going on amongst our young people with respect to gun violence. If you had an opportunity to talk to young people, males in particular, you are a mother of a young male, that's correct?
Yes, I am.
Okay, what would you like to say to them as a parent, as
You
a
know-
woman with respect to gun violence?
Now, when we were kids, we had fights. We fought with our fists. The next day it was over. We were friends. Today the kids are carrying knives and guns. It's a whole nother arena. There's no need for that type of violence. It's absolutely, totally unnecessary. And I was watching an interview that you did with a couple of ladies previous to this that said, spare the rod, spoil the child.
Yes.
I am such a true believer of that. I don't give a hell what. If my kid needs his ass beat, I'm going to beat his ass. And trust me now, he's 24 years old.
Right.
And to this day, he knows mom don't play.
But I also believe that there's a difference between chastisement and child abuse. And I think that the system has put us in a particular situation, a precarious one, that would suggest that because you chastise your child, it's abuse, and so therefore you can't do that, and so therefore the state has more control over your child, and so therefore it limits or handcuffs you as a parent. How would you respond to that?
No, and that's crap. And no one is going to handcuff me as it relates to my child, because I'm a parent of a boy child. I'm fortunate enough that his father is also in the household, so
Okay.
it's not a single mother household.
Okay.
However, my 24-year-old knows that when you cross the line, mom's gonna pick, and mind you, he's about 6 inches taller than me. Mom's gonna pick up a goddamn brick, a broom, a stick to tear that ass up. There's an old phrase in our hood that says, "I brought you in, and I will take you out." And
Amen.
I saw that on the Cosby Show.
I am a true believer of that. I
You're
don't
true.
give a shit what. If it's necessary, I'm going to take him out. And he knows it. He
Okay.
knows it, he lives by it, and he fears it. And that's what needs to be instilled in our young children. Our children are not fearful of their parents.
Okay. Pam, let me just ask you one more question here. We're dealing with a generation that is growing up with video games, and the essence of the video games is to shoot and kill. All right, in order for you to win the video game, you have to blow somebody's head off. So you're dealing with young people who are being raised in a very violent culture, and these games are being purchased by their parents. Now, also too, we're dealing with a group of young people who are bombarded with 1,001 channels, okay? And some of them have not developed the emotional and intellectual ability to decipher what is right and wrong. Now, given the fact that they've been bombarded with all these mixed messages, how are they able to navigate through all of that to be able to be able to reason when some dude looks at them and say, "I don't like you"? Somebody steps on their sneakers that they did not make, and then the rest is history. How do you address that? Keep in mind that the choirs out here, the knuckleheads that we need to be talking to is nowhere to be around, or they're standing off saying, "Well, that doesn't apply to me." How do you address that as a parent? Talk to a brother.
Well, let me take it back to your first question. As it relates to the video games. When my son was younger, because he's an adult now, but when he was younger, those games of shooting and killing and violence were not allowed in my house. So you made a statement that the parents are buying them.
That's
I was a parent that did not buy them. They were not allowed in my house, and he knows, don't bring those in my house. You can play Madden, you can play all the baseball, football, basketball games you want, but the shooting and killing was not allowed. So I take that back to the parent. If you allow that into your house and allow your children to play those games, what do you expect them to do when they're out in the streets? You know, I truly, honestly, and maybe it's wrong, but I personally put that on the parent. It's just not an option.
Okay.
So my son now, as a 24-year-old, has been raised with the morals to know right from wrong. And I know for sure he's not going to be out there doing that nonsense. It's just not an option. You can't do that and live in my house.
Okay.
Simple as that.
Pam, last but not least, if you had an opportunity to talk to our young brothers and sisters, because the females is out here showing their ass as well, what would you like to say to them?
Pull the pants up.
It all goes back to education. Our children do not believe that education is the key to better opportunities. So you have a son who has been very well educated, and there's nothing more important than an education. And in achieving that education, you're going to learn right from wrong. So there's just no question about it in my mind.
Okay.
And that's just how I think.
What about the females?
Same goes for the females. And now let's not even forget the females that are walking around. This is summertime, and I'm